Floppy was the only holdover from the previous Cloud9 roster, touted as one of the best up-and-coming NA riflers, and he continued to live up to this hype. Multiple 1v5s, great fragging, he definitely earned his place in the upper echelon of Counter-Strike. One of Floppy's best attributes is his ability to hold down sites and areas of the map completely solo. He can hold down B site on Dust 2 or Train, or lock down ramp on Nuke. He does all this while making great decisions, delaying the enemy, fragging, and waiting for reinforcements to arrive. Part of what makes him so good at holding down these sites solo is his ability to play with patience. He's great at peeking, using utility, playing around smokes, knowing when to re-peek, knowing where reinforcements are coming from, etc. He really knows how to not get overrun and give up his life so that way they get the site for free. As I talked about in the structure video, Cloud9 would run a 1-3-1 style system, with Alex being a lurker and then Floppy also being the secondary lurker. Floppy would have more set areas that he would lurk, while Alex would kind of free flow around the map. So Floppy would hold towards B site on overpass, either holding monster for a push or holding the water area, or if he gets a read, pushing onto the site itself. On Inferno, Floppy would clear and play apps. Sometimes he would clear and then rotate to B for the hit, other times he would clear and hold and wait for the A hit and hop out balcony. On Train, Floppy would play the upper B area. And on Nuke, Floppy would play in main, holding for pushes and waiting to see what control the team could get elsewhere on the map. Floppy was really good at this type of lurking. He would stay alert, he would change up his positions from round to round, and he had great timings and reads of the enemy, knowing when to get aggressive and when to wait. When executing, for the most part, if they would hit the site he was not lurking towards, he would be in a more supportive role, using his utility and watching for a flank. when they would execute on the site that he was lurking at, he would be a part of the entry squad. Floppy is a solid fragger, as that's kind of what he's known for. If you look at his HLTV page, he looks very inconsistent, but I don't think it's as bad as it looks. Due to his role, he can end up in a lot of bad situations. If the other team is executing really well on their T side and he's holding down a site solo, he can end up dying really quick or just getting a 1-on-1 and that's it. Or if the team executes elsewhere, then he's left in a 1 or 2v5, making it difficult to do much. While like any young player he can have his ups and downs are not as drastic as it would look based on just scrolling through the HLTV page. One area he could clean up would be his constant quick switching when holding angles. For the most part, this doesn't hurt him, but there's always the chance that the other team does something unexpected and his gun isn't ready. And this did happen once, in which he missed out on a potential round and map changing kill.
Respect them, making them back away and giving C9 a lot of control over the map and dictating the pace of how this round goes.
The timing. Floppy whipping out the butterfly for only a second.
Overall, Floppy was, and still is, a very young player who has shown that he can compete at the highest levels. Even though at the time of this recording he is not on a team, I believe if he chose to, he has the skills to be in a top 10 team. Floppy was nice enough to do a written interview with me, and I'll go through it here in the video and we'll also link it down below if you preferred to read it instead.
And Ida's balance has only 20 health left over. 20 seconds to the clock. And Ida's balance, he has to walk the plank. He doesn't want to do this, but it's inevitable. Floppy finds 5.
I asked Floppy, coming from a very execute-based team to a team that's much more feel-based, how was that transition? Floppy said, "It was definitely a different system versus what I was personally used to. Doesn't mean it was bad or anything. I was able to make much more scrimmy plays that would make opponents tilt way easier, and it was a lot of fun. While you did some lurking on old Cloud9, you seemed to push a little bit more on your lurks under Alex, either through Monster on Overpass or out B-side on Train, etc. Was this just part of the way Alex wanted to play, always looking for more information, or just a different way you were playing the spots?" Floppy said, "Alex emphasized my lurks a lot, which helped my part of the game, especially Monster on Overpass. We had a lot of really good reads, specifically one against Furia where I just walked out of Monster after Vinny would spam. After Vinny spammed, I would just walk through the smoke dry and flank their CT spawn. I credit Alex and Elma Putty for that strat, it was nutty. On CT side, for the most part you got the spots you had in the past with a couple of exceptions. Was that by design, and did that make you more comfortable when starting out? It was by design with my role on the team. I was more of an anchor on CT sides on every team I've been on, and I had the ability to do that on this team too. It was a little uncomfortable at the start on some spots because Mezzy and I both shared certain spots that we were really good at, so we had to switch some stuff up, but it was fine." What led to your transition on Nuke? Was it your ability to solo hold areas? Cause you looked like a complete natural there. Mezzy is the king of upper Nuke. I can't take that title away from him. I was also good at staying alive in my anchor spots, and ramp was easy enough, just drop after taking contact. Your ability to play with patience is one of your biggest strengths in my opinion. Is this something that came with time, or did that come naturally? I think it's something that sort of came natural to me because I always wanted to be somebody that wanted to capitalize on good timings with the radar. An example being walking out door on nuke when our teammates are taking contact mini so I can post on heaven. Not exactly the flashiest type of playstyle, but it was something I thought I excelled at. The new Cloud9 struggled with executes and the use of utility in those executes. Coming from JT's execute style, was that an area you tried to help out with? I wouldn't say our executes struggled because the strats were bad or anything. I think it was a lot harder for us to be able to perform each strat because it's really easy to get picked off mid-round and be down 4v5, or not get picked off and just executing 5v5. We played a lot of slower CS, and naturally you're not going to be able to stay alive for an execute every round. Do you think those struggles were more just the way the new team called the game, or was it more just a new team trying to still figure out how to play off each other? I think we were all individually good players who understood how to play the game, but we didn't have the mesh like other teams may have had with months/years of experience with each other. Being in a foreign country alone during lockdown must have been brutal. How did that affect your overall mentality in and out of the server? Being in Serbia was definitely an experience I've never had being in a foreign country playing CS for long term. I think it was different for me because it was my first time living in an apartment on my own as well, so I learned a lot about myself outside of the game too. My mentality was affected a little bit, just being bored outside of practice and not talking to anybody besides Zeppa later on. What do you think was the biggest issue that led to so many close losses? I remember all of our games being so close, and I think it's inevitable when you play consistent CS. Teams will counter whatever you're doing from watching demos, and it's amplified from a lot of online CS. I think if we played LAN, our team would have thrived a lot better than online. Do you think with time and stability this roster could have succeeded? I think anything could have happened with a little more time, but I think regardless we gave it our best effort considering the circumstances, and unfortunately just didn't pay off. Unlucky. Thank you so much to Floppy for taking the time to do an interview with me and respond to my questions during his busy time. And thank you also for watching part 4 of Cloud9 A Look Back. Next week we have part 5, a deep dive into S-Tag, and it will be out next week. Subscribe if you like and ask any questions for the Q&A at the end of the series. Thanks for watching.